Hey there, welcome back to the Powerful Stoic Way, the place where we dive deep into Stoicism and discover how its timeless wisdom can help us handle life's toughest challenges with calm, clarity, and strength. If you're struggling with someone ignoring you, it can feel like your world is turning upside down. It can be easy to fall into feelings of frustration, anger, or confusion. But what if I told you that this moment of silence and emotional tension could actually be one of the greatest opportunities for personal growth? In today's video, I'm going to share practical and empowering strategies to help you navigate being ignored, not just as a victim, but as someone who takes full control of their emotional well-being and uses it as a stepping stone toward emotional maturity. You see, the Stoics taught us that we can't always control what happens to us, but we have complete control over how we respond. And that, my friend, is where your power lies. Before we jump in, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to Powerful Stoic Way. Join our growing community of individuals who are committed to living a purposeful, intentional life. If you enjoy this video or if you faced a similar situation, I'd love for you to comment below and share your experiences or thoughts. Let's start a conversation. Together, we can all learn from one another. Now let's dive into how we can transform the feeling of being ignored into a powerful catalyst for personal growth and emotional resilience. Number one, embrace your emotions, but don't let them control you. When we are ignored, especially by someone we care about, it can trigger a wide range of emotions: hurt, confusion, anger, frustration. These emotions are valid. They reflect the deep human need for connection and understanding. However, while it's important to acknowledge these feelings, it is equally crucial to avoid letting them control your actions or decision-making. Emotional intelligence is key in these moments. Let's first understand that emotions are natural reactions to stimuli. They're not necessarily reflections of reality, nor should they be used as the foundation for your responses. For instance, if she's ignoring you, it's easy to feel rejected or inadequate. But these feelings often arise from personal insecurities or assumptions we create about ourselves. The fact that someone is ignoring you doesn't diminish your worth or identity. It's just a reflection of their current state, not yours. Instead of acting on impulse, such as bombarding her with messages, getting upset, or taking it personally, focus on embracing the feelings you're having. Acknowledge the hurt and disappointment, but do not let these emotions dictate your next move. This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness practices, such as deep breathing or meditation, can help you create space between your emotions and your actions. You don't need to react immediately. Pause, reflect, and give yourself permission to process your feelings before responding. By understanding and processing your emotions, you can avoid making rash decisions that might escalate the situation or create more distance. For example, if you're feeling angry or upset, rather than letting it spill out through hurtful words or passive-aggressive behavior, take time to journal or talk it out with a friend. This will allow you to express your emotions in a constructive way and maintain your dignity. Another powerful technique is self-talk. Remind yourself that emotions are transient. It's okay to feel hurt, but you don't have to let it define your actions. Instead of framing your experience as a personal attack, reframe it as an opportunity for growth. This mindset shift not only prevents you from overreacting, but also helps you build emotional resilience, a trait that will serve you in all areas of your life. This approach doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending they don't matter. It's about understanding that while emotions are valid, they don't define your actions. You have the power to control how you respond, and by choosing to respond with emotional regulation, you empower yourself and safeguard your mental peace. Number two, understand the root cause of her behavior. One of the most important steps in dealing with being ignored is trying to understand why it's happening. This doesn't mean assuming you know the reason or jumping to conclusions. It's about pausing and reflecting on the situation from an objective standpoint. People's behavior often has underlying causes that may have nothing to do with you personally. Consider the context in which the ignoring behavior occurs. Has there been a recent conflict or misunderstanding between the two of you? Are there external pressures in her life, such as stress at work, family problems, or personal challenges, that might be affecting her ability to communicate effectively? Relationships are complex, And often when someone withdraws or ignores you, it's not necessarily a reflection of their feelings toward you, but rather their inability to handle certain emotions or stressors. Take time to reflect on the interactions leading up to the silence. Were there any red flags or patterns that suggested a problem? Did she mention feeling overwhelmed, needing space, or wanting to focus on personal growth? If these signs were present, her behavior might be a result of needing distance rather than a deliberate attempt to hurt you. Remember that we all deal with challenges in different ways. Some people internalize their feelings and distance themselves when they feel overwhelmed or uncertain, while others might become more vocal. Her decision to withdraw might be more about her own coping mechanisms than it is about you or your behavior. It's essential to not take this behavior personally. If she's going through a difficult time or simply needs space, pushing for answers or demanding attention can create further tension. Instead, try to be patient and give her the room she needs. In the meantime, focus on improving your own emotional health and give her the space to come back when she's ready. By understanding the reasons behind her behavior, you gain a broader perspective and avoid jumping to conclusions that might worsen the situation. This clarity allows you to act with empathy and maturity rather than reacting from a place of hurt or frustration. Number 3, focus on self-improvement. When someone ignores you, it's easy to feel like your value is tied to their attention or approval. However, this is a trap. Your worth is not determined by someone else's behavior. Instead of fixating on why she's ignoring you, shift your focus to what you can control, yourself. Self-improvement is a powerful antidote to the feelings of inadequacy that can arise when we're ignored. Rather than allowing the situation to define your emotional state, use it as an opportunity to grow and develop as a person. This could mean focusing on your physical health, learning new skills, diving deeper into your passions, or cultivating a sense of inner peace through meditation and mindfulness. Investing in yourself not only makes you more attractive to others, but also strengthens your sense of self-worth. The more you work on improving yourself, the less you'll depend on external validation to feel good about who you are. This creates a healthier dynamic in relationships, where you're not seeking to fill a void with someone else's attention. For example, if you've been ignoring your fitness goals or putting off a hobby you're passionate about, now might be the perfect time to redirect your energy into those areas. Engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment will not only boost your self-esteem, but will also make you more interesting and engaging to those around you, including her. In addition to tangible improvements like fitness or learning new skills, consider working on your emotional intelligence. This involves developing a deeper understanding of your emotions and how they affect your behavior. Strengthening your emotional resilience will help you weather challenges like this and handle future situations with grace and composure. When you focus on self-improvement, you stop measuring your value based on how others treat you. You become more centered and self-sufficient. This shift in mindset can make you less reactive when someone ignores you, as you realize that your happiness is in your hands, not theirs. Number 4, practice detachment and letting go. Detachment is not about being cold or indifferent. It's about understanding the nature of attachment and how it affects our emotions. Often, when we're attached to someone's approval or attention, we lose sight of our own inner peace. We start to depend on others for validation, which can lead to feelings of frustration when they don't meet our expectations. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on someone or abandoning the relationship. It means releasing the unhealthy attachment to the outcome. It's about letting things unfold naturally without trying to force or control them. In the case of being ignored, this might mean giving her the space she needs and not obsessing over why she's not responding. It's trusting that things will work out as they're meant to, without you trying to manipulate or control the situation. Detachment allows you to create emotional distance from the situation. Instead of allowing her actions to dictate your mood or behavior, you focus on maintaining your own sense of balance and calm. You still care about her, but you don't let her behavior define how you feel about yourself. One of the key benefits of detachment is that it allows you to maintain your integrity. If you're constantly seeking validation or trying to manipulate someone into paying attention to you, it compromises your self-respect. But when you practice detachment, you preserve your dignity and emotional well-being. Letting go also frees you from the constant need for reassurance. You stop searching for signs or clues about why she's ignoring you and instead focus on living your life fully. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means that you trust the process and accept whatever outcome may come. By letting go of the attachment to her attention, you create emotional freedom for both yourself and her. It removes the pressure from the situation and allows for more authentic connections to form. Number 5. Avoid playing games or seeking revenge. In relationships, one of the most toxic behaviors that can arise when we feel ignored is the temptation to play games or seek revenge. When someone distances themselves from you, especially if it's causing emotional pain, it's easy to feel hurt and want to retaliate. However, responding in kind by ignoring her back or playing mind games is not only emotionally destructive, but also undermines your own integrity and growth. Playing games in relationships is a form of manipulation. It's an attempt to control the other person's emotions or behavior by leveraging your own actions, often in a subtle and covert way. For example, you might think, if she's ignoring me, I'll ignore her and see how she reacts. Or, I won't respond to her messages until she reaches out to me first. The underlying message here is that you're trying to manipulate her into feeling a certain way or proving something to you. However, this kind of behavior rarely leads to the desired outcome. Instead of fostering understanding and connection, playing games only breeds mistrust and resentment. It leaves both people feeling more isolated and misunderstood. The emotional distance between you grows, and the situation becomes a cycle of manipulation and counter-manipulation, which will eventually undermine the relationship entirely. The key to breaking this cycle is to avoid engaging in tit-for-tat behavior. Revenge and manipulation are forms of control, and they stem from fear. The fear of being vulnerable, of being hurt again, or of losing the person altogether. But in reality, this type of behavior only weakens your own emotional state. It's also a reflection of insecurity and a lack of emotional maturity. When you respond with vengeance or passive-aggressive behavior, you're not only harming the other person, but also damaging yourself. Your actions will erode your sense of self-respect and emotional balance. Instead of responding out of hurt, practice the art of emotional maturity by choosing not to engage in games. Real power comes from choosing to act with dignity, even when others are being less than respectful. Instead of playing games, focus on cultivating healthy communication. If you feel frustrated or hurt by her behavior, communicate openly and honestly. Tell her how you feel without trying to control or manipulate the situation. This approach requires a higher level of emotional intelligence and vulnerability, but it's far more likely to lead to positive outcomes. By avoiding games or seeking revenge, you maintain your emotional integrity. You empower yourself by refusing to lower your standards for behavior, and you create the space for a genuine connection based on respect and understanding. Remember, true strength lies in responding to negativity with maturity rather than perpetuating the cycle of hurt and retaliation. Number 6, focus on building your own confidence. When someone ignores you, it's easy to start questioning your worth. This is a natural reaction because we often derive part of our self-esteem from how others perceive us. However, allowing someone else's actions to dictate your self-worth is a dangerous road to walk. Instead of allowing her behavior to shake your confidence, use this moment to invest in yourself and build your internal sense of value. Confidence is a key trait that makes you resilient in the face of challenges, including being ignored or rejected. It's the belief in your own abilities and worth, regardless of external circumstances. When you are confident in who you are, you don't rely on anyone else's approval to feel good about yourself. Your sense of self is rooted in your own achievements, values, and self-acceptance, not dependent on another person's behavior. Start by reflecting on your strengths and past achievements. Take time to remind yourself of what you've accomplished and the qualities that make you a valuable and interesting person. This could be anything from your career accomplishments, personal goals you've achieved, or positive qualities like kindness, resilience, and creativity. The more you focus on these qualities, the less you'll be affected by someone else's actions. Additionally, building confidence involves facing discomfort and stepping outside of your comfort zone. Take this time when you're being ignored to challenge yourself and push yourself to grow. Whether it's taking on a new project, learning a new skill, or getting back into physical fitness, these actions all contribute to building a strong sense of self-worth. The more you achieve and grow independently, the less you'll feel dependent on others' attention or validation. Engage in activities that boost your self-esteem. Exercise, meditation, hobbies, and spending time with supportive friends can all help strengthen your confidence. When you make self-care a priority, you send a message to yourself that you value your own well-being and happiness. It's also important to remember that confidence is a lifelong journey. It's normal to have moments of self-doubt, but those moments shouldn't define you. The more you practice self-affirmation and focus on building your inner strength, the more resilient you become in the face of rejection or being ignored. By investing in your confidence, you shift the focus from external validation to internal validation. This empowers you to remain unaffected by others' actions, including being ignored. The stronger your confidence, the less you'll be shaken by temporary setbacks, and the more you'll attract positive people and experiences into your life. Number 7. Respect her space. Sometimes when someone ignores you, it's not a reflection of their feelings toward you, but rather a need for space. People need time and distance to process their emotions, reflect on the situation, or simply decompress from the stresses of life. It's essential to recognize when someone needs space and to respect that need. Respecting her space isn't just about giving her physical distance. It's also about giving her the emotional space to process her thoughts and feelings. This might be challenging, especially if you feel anxious or uncertain about where things stand. But it's crucial to understand that space is a natural part of healthy relationships. It allows both parties to reflect, heal, and return to the relationship with a clearer perspective. Respecting space also demonstrates emotional maturity. When you give her room to breathe, it shows that you trust her and are confident in the relationship. It's a sign that you're not trying to control her or manipulate her into spending time with you. Instead, you're allowing the relationship to unfold naturally without putting pressure on her to respond immediately. If she's ignoring you because she needs time to process something, continuing to push for communication will only increase the tension. Instead of bombarding her with messages or demanding answers, focus on creating a sense of calm and trust. Let her come to you when she's ready rather than forcing the situation. This doesn't mean you should wait indefinitely without taking care of your own needs. It simply means that you respect her boundaries and allow her the time she needs. During this period, focus on your own well-being. Invest time in your passions, hobbies, and self-care. Use this time to strengthen your emotional resilience so that when she is ready to talk, you can approach the situation with a calm and clear mind. This will increase the likelihood of a productive conversation when the time comes. Respecting her space is not a sign of weakness or indifference. On the contrary, it's a sign of emotional strength and respect. It shows that you understand the importance of boundaries and that you value her as an individual with her own needs. It's also a demonstration of your ability to manage your own emotions and not let fear or anxiety dictate your actions. By giving her the space she needs, you not only allow the relationship to breathe, but also empower both of you to approach the situation with a clearer mindset, leading to healthier communication and a stronger connection in the future. Number 8, communicate honestly, but don't overdo it. One of the most important aspects of any relationship is communication. However, when someone is ignoring you, it's easy to let frustration build up and feel the need to communicate constantly in an effort to get answers or force a response. In this situation, while it's important to communicate, it's equally important to find the balance between honest expression and giving the other person space to process things on their own. Honest communication is key because it allows you to express how you feel without resorting to passive-aggressive behavior or assuming the worst. If you feel hurt, confused, or neglected, it's okay to express those emotions. But the key is to do it without attacking or putting pressure on the other person. This could be as simple as sending a calm, respectful message that says something like, "I've noticed you've been distant, and I just wanted to check in to see if everything's okay." The goal here is to open the lines of communication without overwhelming the other person. Often, when someone ignores us, they might be dealing with their own issues, and pushing them for immediate answers or overwhelming them with repeated messages can add unnecessary pressure. A message like the one mentioned above offers space for her to respond when she's ready, while still expressing that you're open to understanding what's going on. In situations where you're feeling ignored, it's essential to keep your communication clear and straightforward. Avoid over-explaining and don't fall into the trap of apologizing or making excuses for her behavior. Instead, own your emotions and express them in a way that invites dialogue rather than confrontation. One of the biggest mistakes people make when faced with someone ignoring them is sending multiple needy messages. Repeated messages can come across as desperate, which only worsens the situation. Instead of trying to force a response, wait for her to initiate the conversation when she's ready. While it's tempting to reach out frequently, especially when anxiety starts to build, patience is often the most effective communication strategy. You've said what you needed to say, and now it's time to give her the space to reflect and respond. At the same time, make sure you don't go too far in the opposite direction by completely shutting yourself off or becoming passive. Healthy communication is about striking a balance between honesty and respect for the other person's boundaries. By communicating with maturity and calm, you show that you are emotionally responsible and can handle conflict without resorting to manipulation or emotional pressure. By being clear and direct, but also considerate, you allow the space for the relationship to grow in a positive direction. Effective communication not only helps resolve the current issue, but also strengthens the foundation of any relationship for the future. Number 9, take responsibility for your part in the situation. In any conflict or situation where someone is ignoring you, it's essential to take responsibility for your actions. Even if you feel that her behavior is unjustified, understanding that relationships are a two-way street can help you grow as a person and as a partner. No situation is completely one-sided, and it's important to reflect on your role in the dynamics at play. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything or accepting guilt that isn't yours to carry. Instead, it's about honestly assessing how your behavior, actions, or words might have contributed to the current situation. Did you unintentionally hurt her feelings? Were there things left unsaid that created distance? Sometimes we unknowingly make mistakes in relationships that lead to misunderstandings or emotional withdrawal. One of the most powerful things you can do in this situation is to acknowledge your part in the conflict. This could mean apologizing for any hurtful words or actions, clarifying misunderstandings, or simply recognizing areas where you could have communicated better. By taking ownership of your actions, you demonstrate maturity and emotional intelligence. For example, if you were dismissive, insensitive, or reactive in a previous conversation, admitting that you could have handled the situation better helps to pave the way for healing. Apologizing doesn't mean taking all the blame. It means acknowledging your mistakes and showing that you are committed to improving. Taking responsibility also involves being open to feedback. It's easy to fall into the trap of defensiveness when someone ignores us. Our first instinct might be to defend ourselves or point out all the reasons why we're justified in our actions. However, true growth comes from being open to hearing the other person's perspective. It means being willing to listen without immediately jumping into a counter-argument. This openness can lead to a more honest and productive conversation when the time comes to address the issue. Additionally, self-reflection is an essential part of taking responsibility. Ask yourself questions like, what could I have done differently? Or, how can I avoid repeating the same mistakes in the future? This process of introspection allows you to learn from the situation and ensures that you grow emotionally. It shows that you're not just waiting for the other person to change, but you are also actively seeking to improve yourself. By acknowledging your role in the situation and committing to positive change, you take the power back from the external circumstances and empower yourself. This approach doesn't just help with the immediate issue, but also promotes long-term personal growth and healthier relationships moving forward. Number 10, strengthen your emotional boundaries. When someone ignores you, it can feel like an emotional attack, leaving you vulnerable to hurt, frustration, or insecurity. In moments like these, it's essential to strengthen your emotional boundaries. The invisible line that protects your emotional well-being from being compromised by others' actions or behaviors. By maintaining healthy boundaries, you can protect yourself from the emotional turmoil that often arises when someone withdraws. Emotional boundaries refer to the way you manage your emotional responses and how much influence others have over your emotional state. In a healthy relationship, both individuals are aware of and respect each other's emotional boundaries. However, when someone ignores you, it's easy to let their behavior dictate how you feel. You might find yourself obsessing over their actions or constantly wondering why they aren't paying attention to you. To strengthen your emotional boundaries, start by acknowledging that you cannot control another person's behavior. While you can influence interactions and have meaningful conversations, you cannot dictate how someone else feels or acts. Recognizing this gives you the power to let go of the need for constant validation from others and instead focus on cultivating your own sense of emotional security. One way to strengthen emotional boundaries is by practicing self-care. When someone ignores you, it's easy to feel neglected or unimportant. Instead of letting those feelings take root, engage in activities that nurture your emotional health. Whether it's spending time with friends, meditating, exercising, or pursuing hobbies that bring you joy. By creating a life outside of your relationship, you reinforce the idea that your happiness is not dependent on someone else's actions. Another important aspect of emotional boundaries is learning to detach your sense of self-worth from external validation. When we're ignored, we often internalize the rejection and start questioning our value. However, this is a harmful habit. Your worth is not determined by whether someone responds to you or gives you attention. By cultivating self-love and understanding that you are inherently valuable, you build emotional resilience that allows you to navigate rejection or indifference without losing your sense of self. In moments of emotional vulnerability, remind yourself of your strengths and affirm your value. Speak kindly to yourself and avoid falling into negative self-talk. Practice affirmations that reinforce your emotional boundaries, such as, I am worthy of respect and love, or I am enough, regardless of how others behave. These affirmations help fortify your emotional boundaries and create a sense of inner stability, no matter what's happening externally. Strengthening your emotional boundaries also involves recognizing when to let go. If someone is consistently ignoring you or treating you poorly, it may be a sign that the relationship is no longer serving your emotional well-being. In such cases, setting a firm boundary and choosing to step away is a powerful act of self-respect. It shows that you value yourself enough to not tolerate mistreatment. By focusing on your emotional boundaries, you protect yourself from being swept up in the emotional chaos of others' behavior. You take control of your own emotional health and create the space for growth, healing, and healthier relationships. Number 11, focus on your own personal growth. When you're being ignored, it can feel like a personal rejection. It's easy to spiral into self-doubt and insecurity, questioning your worth or value. However, this is the perfect opportunity to redirect your energy toward personal growth. By focusing on becoming the best version of yourself, you take control of your own narrative, and you stop allowing external circumstances to define your emotional state. Personal growth is a multifaceted journey that encompasses mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. This means engaging in activities that expand your knowledge, build your skill set, and improve your overall health. For example, you might decide to pursue a new hobby, improve your physical fitness, or dedicate time to learning something you've always been interested in, whether it's reading, working on a career project, or taking up mindfulness practices like yoga or meditation. Personal growth helps you shift your focus from the external to the internal. Investing in personal growth during times of emotional difficulty serves a few crucial purposes. First, it allows you to regain your confidence. By achieving things outside of your relationship, things that contribute to your growth, you remind yourself of your value and potential. You are not defined by how someone else behaves toward you. You are defined by your own actions, goals, and commitment to self-improvement. Second, personal growth also strengthens your emotional resilience. The more you develop yourself emotionally, the less likely you are to be thrown off course by external challenges. For example, if you work on building emotional intelligence and self-awareness, you'll become better equipped to handle feelings of rejection or being ignored. This emotional strength gives you the ability to handle difficulties with a calm, clear mind, rather than letting negative emotions take over. Another key aspect of personal growth is learning to embrace discomfort. Being ignored can feel uncomfortable and painful, but it is also an opportunity for personal reflection. Use this time to examine your own emotional triggers and patterns of behavior. Do you tend to react impulsively when ignored? Are there patterns from past relationships that you find yourself repeating? These are important questions that can help you learn more about yourself and your needs. By embracing personal growth, you take the power back from the external situation and reclaim your focus and sense of purpose. It's easy to become consumed by someone else's actions. But when you prioritize your own growth, you not only take care of yourself, but you also create space for healthier, more fulfilling relationships in the future. Number 12, understand that you can't control her actions. One of the most difficult truths to accept in any relationship is that you cannot control another person's actions, including whether or not they choose to engage with you. When you're being ignored, it's natural to want to control the situation, to fix things, to force a response, or to make her feel guilty for withdrawing. However, trying to control her behavior only leads to frustration, anxiety, and ultimately more distance between the two of you. The desire to control is often rooted in fear, the fear of losing someone, the fear of rejection, or the fear of not being good enough. It's important to recognize that these fears, while valid, do not justify trying to manipulate or pressure someone into acting the way you want them to. The more you try to control someone's actions, the more you give away your own power. Instead of focusing on controlling her, focus on controlling your own reactions and responses. Accepting that you can't control her behavior doesn't mean you should passively accept mistreatment. It means acknowledging that you can only control your own actions, and that is where your power lies. If her behavior is causing you harm, it's okay to set boundaries and communicate your needs. But once you've expressed yourself, you must also allow her the space to make her own choices, free from pressure or manipulation. One effective way to release the need for control is to shift your focus from external validation to internal validation. Instead of seeking constant reassurance or attention from her, work on building your own sense of self-worth. Remind yourself that you don't need anyone else's approval to feel good about yourself. This not only helps you detach from the need to control her behavior, but also builds your confidence and emotional independence. Another important realization is that everyone is on their own emotional journey. Just because she is ignoring you doesn't necessarily mean she's intentionally trying to hurt you. She might be dealing with personal issues, internal struggles, or simply needing space to process something. By recognizing this, you can approach the situation with more empathy and understanding, rather than focusing on trying to control or manipulate her. By releasing the need to control her actions, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and anxiety. You empower yourself to respond from a place of calm and maturity, which increases the likelihood of a positive resolution, whether that's through reconciliation or moving on with your life. Number 13, be open to the possibility of moving on. While it may feel uncomfortable to consider, sometimes the healthiest decision when you're being ignored is to move on. Not every relationship or interaction is meant to last, and sometimes, despite our best efforts, the connection simply isn't working. The ability to recognize when it's time to let go is a sign of emotional maturity, and it allows you to protect your well-being and make room for better opportunities in the future. When you're being ignored, it's easy to become fixated on the idea of fixing the relationship, of forcing things to work. However, it's important to ask yourself if the relationship is truly serving your emotional needs. Are you constantly chasing someone's attention? Are you feeling drained, unimportant, or disrespected? If the answer is yes, then it might be time to consider whether this relationship is still worth pursuing. Moving on doesn't necessarily mean cutting the person out of your life forever. It means choosing to release the emotional attachment and stop waiting for someone who is not showing you the respect or attention you deserve. Sometimes letting go allows you to gain perspective on the relationship and see things more clearly. It may open up new possibilities for growth, healing, and personal fulfillment. Being open to moving on also involves recognizing your worth. If someone is repeatedly ignoring you or treating you poorly, you deserve better. You are worthy of respect, love, and attention from someone who values you. By accepting that the relationship might not be right for you, you open yourself up to healthier connections in the future. Moving on doesn't mean you're giving up or failing. It means you're choosing to prioritize your own happiness and well-being. It's an act of self-respect. When you release the need to hold on to something that isn't working, you create the space to move forward in a healthier, more fulfilling direction. Finally, remember that moving on doesn't necessarily mean moving away from love or relationships altogether. It simply means that you're ready to let go of what no longer serves you so that you can embrace new opportunities, experiences, and connections that align with your values and emotional needs. Number 14, practice detachment and emotional independence. When someone is ignoring you, it's common to feel like you're losing emotional control or to start depending on their behavior for your sense of self-worth. Emotional attachment can quickly transform into emotional dependence, where your happiness and stability hinge on how others treat you. In these moments, it's vital to practice detachment, not from the relationship itself, but from the emotional turbulence that arises from their behavior. Detachment doesn't mean being indifferent or cold toward the other person. Instead, it's about freeing yourself from becoming overly entangled in the emotional consequences of someone else's actions. It's about recognizing that while you can't control their behavior, you do have the power to control how you respond. Detachment allows you to maintain your emotional balance, no matter how someone else is behaving toward you. One way to practice detachment is by creating space between your emotional state and their actions. When you find yourself feeling hurt or frustrated because of her ignoring you, take a step back and remind yourself that her actions do not define you. You are not responsible for how she chooses to behave, nor are you dependent on her approval for your self-worth. By developing emotional independence, you allow yourself to remain steady, calm, and collected, even when external circumstances are challenging. One helpful technique to foster emotional detachment is mindfulness. Mindfulness allows you to observe your emotions without becoming consumed by them. When you notice feelings of hurt, sadness, or anxiety arising, instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to breathe, observe, and allow those feelings to pass without letting them dictate your behavior. This practice strengthens your ability to respond to the situation with maturity and poise. Detachment is also about understanding that emotional independence is essential for your overall well-being. If your happiness is tied solely to someone else's behavior, you are setting yourself up for constant emotional instability. Emotional independence means that you are able to find contentment and peace within yourself, regardless of what others do. It's about building a life and identity that is not reliant on the approval or attention of others. By practicing detachment, you create space for emotional freedom. You stop giving away your power by allowing someone else's actions to dictate how you feel. Instead, you take charge of your emotional life, which leads to a more balanced and grounded existence, regardless of external factors. Number 15, embrace the power of patience and timing. When you're faced with someone ignoring you, the temptation to act impulsively can be overwhelming. You might feel the urge to confront them immediately, to demand an explanation, or to try and fix the situation right away. However, one of the most powerful skills you can cultivate in such moments is patience, not only for the situation, but for yourself as well. Patience is a virtue that often goes underappreciated in modern relationships. We live in a fast-paced world where instant gratification is the norm, and we often expect quick answers to problems. But relationships, like all meaningful aspects of life, take time to grow and evolve. Sometimes giving space and allowing time to pass can lead to better outcomes than forcing an immediate resolution. When someone is ignoring you, it's easy to feel like time is running out or that the situation will never resolve. However, patience allows you to maintain perspective and avoid making rash decisions out of fear or frustration. Often, when people are distant, they need time to process their own feelings or thoughts. Giving her that space can allow for clarity and introspection on both sides. By rushing to confront or demand answers, you risk creating more tension and misunderstanding. Patience also allows you to develop emotional resilience. It's tempting to seek immediate relief from the discomfort of being ignored, but true emotional strength comes from being able to sit with discomfort and uncertainty. By practicing patience, you teach yourself that it's okay to not have immediate answers and that things will unfold in their own time. This mindset allows you to face challenging situations with a calm and composed demeanor, without succumbing to impulsive reactions. Another key element of patience is understanding timing. Relationships are dynamic, and sometimes the timing for a meaningful conversation or resolution simply isn't right. If the person is dealing with their own emotions, approaching them when they are ready, not when you are, is crucial. Timing is everything in relationships, and understanding when to speak and when to stay silent can make all the difference. When you practice patience, you are also showing respect for the other person's process and emotions. You're acknowledging that they might need space to reflect, and you're trusting that when the time is right, things will naturally come to a resolution. In doing so, you give yourself the opportunity to respond thoughtfully and calmly, rather than reacting out of anger or frustration. In relationships, patience isn't just about waiting, it's about trusting the process. Trust that your efforts to communicate and understand each other will eventually lead to growth. Trust that you have the capacity to deal with challenges, and that with time, the situation will resolve itself in the way that it's meant to. By embracing patience, you give yourself the gift of perspective and clarity. You allow yourself to process your emotions in a healthier way and create the conditions for a more meaningful resolution. Patience, when combined with emotional maturity and self-awareness, is a powerful tool that transforms how we approach challenges in relationships. Now that we've explored some key strategies for dealing with being ignored, I hope you're walking away with a fresh perspective. You see, being ignored isn't a reflection of your worth. Instead, it's an opportunity to take back your power, build emotional independence, and focus on becoming the best version of yourself. You've learned how to detach from the emotional pull of external validation, how to practice patience and resilience, and how to focus on your own personal growth during times of discomfort. Remember, the Stoic way is not about avoiding pain or challenges, but about facing them head-on with courage, clarity, and control. When you master your own emotions, you don't need anyone else's behavior to define how you feel. This is your journey, and every challenge is just a stepping stone on the path to becoming stronger, wiser, and more self-reliant. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it and subscribe to Powerful Stoic Way. That way, you won't miss any future videos filled with tools and wisdom to help you tackle life's challenges with strength. And don't forget to drop a comment below. I'd love to hear how you handle situations where you feel ignored. Your comments are a valuable part of this community, and together we're building a space where we can all support each other in our growth. Stay strong, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.